how did it progress from here? Now you're like, okay, you're college age, high school age. How was the coin thing going?
So high school age, again, another awesome opportunity came by. I was a member of a coin club called the Ogden Coin Club. So when I was 13, we moved up to Ogden, Utah.
The big city. Yeah, really like the New York.
60,000 people.
Okay,
it took me a while to figure out how crosswalks work. Because in traffic, you have stop signs, and if you run one, you don't have to worry because there's nobody coming through. So we move up to Ogden, and in high school, I believe it was my sophomore year of high school. I'm 15 years old, and I was in a class. I'm trying to remember what the name of the class was. It was like, one of those courses. It's one semester long, trying to get you to figure out, what you want to do with your life. Kind of like a skills class. So I'm in that class, and the very final project was to shadow at a place that you would like to work, or shadow in an industry that you could see yourself going into. So me being me, I'm just like, well, I want to do coins. That's the only thing I'm good at. So good at mowing lawns too, if you ever need somebody. So
but there's no box to check numismatics on this career.
No.
So it's kind of weird. Your teacher doesn't understand, but you're like, there's a coin shop, I'm gonna go see them.
Exactly. So I'm a member of the Ogden Coin Club, and one of the members who would pretty consistently show up to the meetings is Bob Campbell, a very well-known dealer in Salt Lake City. And so one day I got up the nerve, and because he's Bob Campbell in my mind, past A&A president. He's done a ton for the hobby. He's the king of coins.
And you're looking at him. He's right there.
He's right there, and it's just like, how do I make that introduction? And so I remember I go over to him, and I'm like, hi, Mr. Campbell, my name's Steve Feltner. I've got this class, and I'm supposed to shadow, at a place that I'd like to work. Is there any way that I could come down to your shop for a Saturday and just shadow you? And he goes, oh yeah, that'd be great. He was super stoked about it. Bob has always been really good at working with YNs. He's very YN centric. And so we figure out what Saturday that's going to be. And my mom drives me down. I had my learner's permit, but I'm not going to drive in the big city. That's got me spooked. Exactly. And so mom drives me down, and I hang out at Bob's coin shop. He has me, working in the back, helping sort through some pennies, stuff like that. And he did something that kind of shocked me. About midway through the day, he goes, Steve, I need you to go on a bank run for me. And I said, okay, not a problem. And he said, it's literally just, 2 blocks down the road. All you have to do is follow the sidewalk, and I need you to make a deposit. Perfect. And he hands me like $12,000 cash. And to me, I'm a 15-year-old kid. I've never seen $12,000 cash. That's a lot of money. And so I get it, and I kind of start shaking a little bit, and he gives me a bank bag, and he's like, the thing that you need to do is you walk down there and you act like you only have a $10 bill in your pocket. Don't be looking around corners. Don't act, all crazy. Just go straight to the bank and bring me back the deposit receipt. Okay, cool. Sounds good, Bob. So I go in, make the deposit, come back. He checks the receipt. Everything's balanced, and he has me go out and start talking to some of the customers. I'd never done that before. This is my first time. I'm trying to remember. I'd been to a couple of coin shops, but not for more than 20, 30 minutes at a time, sort of thing. So this is my first time actually being able to be behind the scenes and behind the counter. So I start talking to some of the customers, and he must have picked up on, this kid actually knows a little bit about coins.
Your confidence is like, hey, chest starts sticking out a little bit.
I
can do this.
I can do this. I just want to talk about coins. So at the end of the day, he pulls me into his office, and he goes, now, remind me, Steve, how old are you? I said, I'm 15, I'm almost 16. And he goes, this is crazy. He's like, I've never hired anybody under 21, but would you like a job?
That's awesome.
And my answer was, I'll have to ask my mom first.
That's pretty good.
And so I ended up taking a position with him. I worked every single Saturday, as often as I could, because I'm obviously still in high school. And every Saturday I would take the bus from Ogden down to Salt Lake and then ride it back.
That's pretty cool.
And the amount of education I got from that experience is invaluable.
Oh yeah.
Like
I can
being
imagine.
able to be there and sort and sift. And I mean, even as I was sorting through Lincoln Sense, which was never my favorite thing to do, I don't like doing stuff like that. I'd listen to Bob. You know, I'd listen to him in the front office, you know, talking to clients and customers, and I would just sponge it. You know, everything that he was saying, I would try and soak that in. So one of the greatest educations I ever had was working at a coin shop for a couple of years on the weekend, and it made me very confident in what I was doing. I realized how much I loved it, and I realized pretty early on that was my calling. That was what I wanted to do.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So working in a coin shop is fun, isn't it?
It's awesome.
Like you just never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So
every day's different.
How long did you work there for?
I worked for Bob for about 2 years.
2 years, like it just every Saturday.
Every Saturday.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us some of the things that you remember that like you recall. Like was there crazy clients, or was like really cool coins that came in, or like what was it?
Yeah,
what really excited you? It was just every day was different. Huh?
Every day is different. Yeah. You're always going to have your crazy clients. You know, the people who come in thinking they've got a 55 double die obverse and stuff like that, and it's just a standard 55. But you know, you listen to them and they'll tell you exactly where the doubling is, and you can pull out any book resource you want, and they're not going to believe you. They know what they've got.
Sure.
So of course that happened. We had some wonderful clients, you know, people that you couldn't wait for them to come in just so that you could listen to the stories. Yeah. You know,
it's great to just that passion,
you
know, the passion behind coins.
Exactly.
To meet other people with that. Because it's rare. I mean, it's out there, but it's rare.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Where you're on the same wavelength, you're like, wow, this guy's really into coins like me.
Yeah.
You know, that's
exactly.
Cool. Yeah.
Well, and of course, for me, I've always been that type of person where, especially if you have a passion that's different than mine, I want to know why you're passionate about it. What is it
makes you tick?
Why? Okay, Utah trade tokens. I don't know anything about them. That's all you collect? Why? And not why as in I'm judging you and condescending. I want to know why they're so cool, and then all of a sudden I'm buying a Utah trade token. You know, it's
gotta have one in my collection.
Exactly. If somebody has a passion and a fire about something, and they're able to voice why and articulate why they're so excited about it, it's hard not to get excited.
Their eyes light up.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
It's super fun. Yeah. So I ended up going down to St. George. So lived in St. George for about 5 years and worked for a coin shop down there called All Good Coin. The owner is Troy Nelson, and to be quite honest, Troy all but became a second father to me. Really? Troy he's one of those salt of the earth people who he owns a body shop for automobiles. And he's been doing that for a long, long time. Ended up purchasing the coin shop from the family of Jordan Allgood. And so he had dual businesses. And so he would go, you know, to the body shop in the morning sort of thing, and then come to the coin shop in the afternoon. And he was one of those people where if he knows you're a good person, he puts all of his faith and trust in you immediately. You know, you know what you're doing. You know what you need to do. Just keep business rolling. And I spent 5 years with him and had an absolute blast. That was one of those experiences when you're helping manage something rather than just being an employee of something, you learn so much more.
So it's kind of your first grown-up job.
That was my first. That would be my first grown-up job.
Responsibility, handling money, making calls with clients.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is important. So what was your age? That 5 years. What was your age range?
That would be 18 to 25.
Okay, wow. Got it.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked at All Good until I was 25, and then I had the opportunity to test grade for PCGS.
Okay, so explain what that's all about. So you're happy at the shop, you're working there 5-6 years, you're kind of running it, things are smooth, and then PCGS gives you a phone call. It says, Steve, we want you to test grade, my man. What does that mean?
Yeah, so it was really cool. How it all worked out is Troy and I, we started going to summer seminar together. You know, it was one of those things I'd been going pretty consistently, and he wanted to give it a go. And so the first year that we went together, we took intermediate grading, and it was taught by Don Bonser, Mary Sylvain, and Bill Fiba. which
Bill and Mary were my teachers too as
oh,
well.
were they really?
Yeah, yeah,
oh, that's awesome.
It's crazy.
Fantastic instructors.
They probably like you. You're the favorite, I'm sure. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd have to ask.
Yeah.
But at the time, Don Bonser still is my mentor. If you say, who is the person that helped you out in the business the most, I would honestly have to say that that's Don. I met him when I was 13 at summer seminar, and any major decision that I ever had to make, whether it was personal, business related, or anything like that, it had to go through my dad and it had to go through Don.
Got it, okay.
I kind of had to have the double blessing.
Yeah, double D's.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Never steered me wrong. So he was my instructor for that year, had an absolutely amazing time. We had a blast. So the next year, that would have been when I was 24. So when I was 25, I decided to take advanced grading. And so I'm there. It was taught by Don Ketterling, Charlie Brown, Ken Park, and Bill Shamhart.
Okay, that's quite a crew.
It was absolutely it was a crew. So I go into advanced grading and had an absolute blast. And within about 2 days or so, we had the vice president of PCGS walk in. And
who were they? Who was
the vice president of PCGS at the time was Miles Standish.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
So Miles walked in, and he's talking to the instructors, and he looks over at me, and he goes, "Are you Steve Feltner?" And I said, "Yeah." Why?
Yeah.
I was. I've always been one of those people. I would consider myself an extrovert, but if somebody calls me out or the lights on me,
what did I do wrong?
Yeah, it's just like, oh shoot, kind of retreat into myself a little bit. So he says, "Can you step out in the hallway with me?" And a couple of the people that I was in class with, they do the whole Feltner's in trouble sort of thing. So I hop out in the hall, and he goes, I just wanted to make a connection with you. Have you ever considered professionally grading? And I said, "No, I haven't." And he goes, "Well, can I ask why?" And I was like, "To be honest with you, I've never thought that I was good enough. I didn't think that I had that skill set to be able to do it on a professional level."
It was never on your radar.
No, it was never on my radar.
Hey, maybe I'm really good at grading and I could grade.
Absolutely not. No, I was happy being at a coin shop, getting all of the Buffalo nickels, 2x2ing them, and, opening up photo grade and going, okay, that looks like a 30.
Which is the essence of being a great grader.
Exactly.
Sorting through
That's how you learn.
Yeah.
The best way to grade, you have to have good eyes, you have to have good magnification, good lighting, and 10 years experience of grading. Just going through thousands and thousands of coins. And so I definitely paid my dues, doing that. But so I said, I never thought that I was good enough. And he goes, "Well, I've been talking to a couple of your instructors, and if you'd like, I would like to invite you to come out to Southern California. We'll pay for your airfare, we'll pay for your lodging, we'll get you a rental car, and come in for a couple of days and basically work with the team and see if it's a fit."
You must have been like, wow.
Oh.
Talking with the instructors, and the instructors of the people who they are, and their master graders, and then the VP PCGS is, "We'd like to invite you on over,"
Exactly. It was, that was one of those pivotal, life-changing moments for me.
You're
because
good at something.
Well, and it was one of those things too where just the invitation is a confidence boost,
sure,
and I've never been the most self-confident person. And so I remember leaving class that day and immediately calling my dad and going, "You're never going to believe what just happened." I was so stoked.
He must have been proud of you. He called Don immediately after.
Exactly.
He's like, "Go for it."
Yeah, pretty much.
That's good.
That is how it went. So a couple of months went by and we scheduled it out. I think I came out in October. I want to say it was mid-October. And I test graded for 3 days. Got to meet all of the graders in the room. It was very shocking to find out that they were just really cool, normal people. Because
they're into coins.
They're a bunch of coin nerds sitting around, looking at coins. Awesome group of guys. And so I spent 3 days test grading with them.
So what does test grading mean? Explain that so people understand that.
Okay. So with test grading, basically what you're doing is you're grading coins, you're grading all of the same coins that the regular graders do. So say that there's a box of 20, you scan the box, you take all of the flips out of the box, and you individually grade each one. Enter your grade into the system, press enter, moves on to the next coin. So I was going behind all of the other graders who had already graded it. The only difference is obviously my grade doesn't count.
Yeah.
So what they do is they go through your time there, and it's still this way. This is how we work it, and basically check out how close you were to the finalized grade of the coin. So if grader number 1 called it a 63, grader 2 called it a 64, grader 3 called it 63, and you called it 63, great, you're right.
Point.
Sort of thing.
Point for Steve.
Point for Steve.
Okay.
And it's one of those situations where we run the reports and we can go through and see, okay, you know, it went out of 65, they called it a 64, but base 2 called it a 64.
Sure.
And so, you know, they're right on, sort of thing.
So, they're looking to evaluate you. Basically, it's a pass or fail. You have to hit a certain percentage.
It needs to be
right.
Yeah, it is definitely a certain percentage, but it's also, what is your personality like?
Right. Okay.
Are you a fit? Are you the type of person that we feel?
Yeah, you're in a grading room. You're working together. Yeah.
Can we mold you? Are you close enough that in a couple of months you're going to be pretty well dead on? You know, how much time is it going to take to get you to the PCGS standard?
Right.
Is one of the things that we look for. And so I went for 3 days. And a couple of weeks go by, and it was a long
couple of weeks.
You know, but
you're like, hey, I'm going to the airport. You got my test results, man? Come on, guys. It's
exactly.
I felt you liked me. Just give me an answer.
Yeah,
a couple
it's been
weeks.
long enough, right?
Looking at your phone. What are they calling? Is it my okay? So what was the phone call came?
Yeah. So
who was it?
It was Don Willis.
Okay.
He was PCGS president at the time. And it was a little bit of a different call than I expected, but totally fine. It was understandable. He called up and he said, "Hey, Steve, it seemed like your grading was a little bit tight. You know, but he said that tends to be pretty normal. You know, when you're going through, and at a coin shop, you'll understand this. You go through, you don't have to be dead on with the grade. You know, if you're 2x2ing it, I would write VF. I wouldn't write VF20, VF25, VF30, VF35. It's a VF.
It's on an XF. It's close, but it's just a VF.
But when you're at PCGS grading and you're test grading with everybody else, you have to put 30 into the system or 35, whatever it might be. And so trying to learn those subtle nuances between the grading lines, it can take time. And we understand that. So he said, you were a little bit conservative on your grading. However, it seemed like you would be a good fit in the room. We'd like to invite you to come out for 2 weeks. Okay? So no guarantees on a job offer after 2 weeks, but we want to see what you do in that amount of time. We want you to have more time with it.
This is exciting, but very stressful.
Very stressful.
Oh, you're just like, oh, okay, I'm coming, but I don't have the job, but yeah, I have a shot. I'm this close. This is great.
And so I go out for 2 weeks, and to be quite honest with you, no matter what the outcome was, I was viewing this as a really cool opportunity and experience. Obviously, I wanted the job. You know, what a cool way, what a cool catalyst to be able to go, you know, progress in your career, sort of thing. And so I go out and just had fun with it. You know, and I'm one of those people where when I was in the grading room, they always said, ask a lot of questions. You know, if you're grading something and you've never, I mean, I'm grading coins I'd only ever seen in the red book. You know, I'd never held a
flowing hair dollar.
I'd never held a pine tree shilling. I'd never held, you know, all of these really, really cool coins. I don't know how to grade them.
So were you really intimidated? You're like, okay, I don't know.
Of course.
You were just like, I don't know if I can't do this. What are they going to think? Are they going to call me out? Are they going to know I've never handled a pine tree shilling?
In my mind, I'm going, okay, I'm going to be rolling through all of these coins, and they're going to figure me out. Like, you know, he's not.
Do you think they'll figure out that maybe you shouldn't even be on Slab Lab or what? Because I think you should. I think you're well deserving. But you're not thinking I don't deserve to be on Slab because you're following in the footsteps like Jim Halperin, John Brush, some great guys,
dude. And so, I saw that you were interviewing JD, you know, recently, and he's one of the icons of the coin industry. And so it's one of those things that I had to realize pretty early on. I am the best me. You know, I can't compare myself to everybody else because I'm always going to be found wanting. You know, I'm never going to know. JD has forgotten more than I will ever know.
He's you know, the word intimidate doesn't pop up because he's such a cool
dude.
But you're sitting there like, oh my God,
It's just, it's a
so
fountain of knowledge. It's a never-ending fountain of knowledge. And so, yeah, when I was going back to PCGS for the 2 weeks, it's like, I hope they don't figure out that I really don't know how to grade. And so at the end of the 2 weeks,
even though they put you through all this tests, hundreds of things, they already know. They already have a feeling for exactly what you could do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then what? 2 weeks, you're having fun.
So I'm having fun, and it just so happened to be during the company Christmas party. So I'm at the company Christmas party, and
which is a whole nother segment of Slab Lab.
Yeah.
I really want to hear the PCGS Christmas party.
Nah, it was just basically a buffet line for everybody at headquarters, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. not too many stories there. But I was asked the next day to come into Don Willis's office, and he wanted to have a conversation with me.
So does that one of his people, since he's the big shot, reaches out to you and be like, Mr. Willis would like your friend. It's like it's going to the principal at school, right?
No, it was more or less like, hey, Steve, can we have a conversation tomorrow, sort of thing. Yeah. And so the next day I come into work. Obviously, I'm super nervous. Probably put on probably put on double deodorant just in case. So I get there, and I'm grading coins, and a couple of hours go by, and I'm asked to go up to his office. We have a great conversation, and he said, I'd like to offer you a position as a full-time grader.
Right.
And, my heart's pounding at this point. I'm just like, I cannot believe that this is my reality right now. Right. How cool is this? Yeah. And so we talked, about what expectations are, stuff like that, start dates, compensation, all of that. And it was basically show me where to sign. Yeah. Wow. And so I went home on a very high note. It was a little bit difficult because, like I said, I loved what I did. I loved the shop that I worked at, and it was difficult. And
then you're going to California.
I'm going to California.
It's a big deal. It's a big change. It ain't Utah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a big deal.
Not in Kansas anymore.
Deal. Yeah.
So, I had never, I'd vacationed in Southern California a couple of times, and you always have that idea of what would it be like to live here. Yeah. And I'd had those thoughts before, but turning it into a reality was really, really cool. Yeah. And so, started working at PCGS full time.
So did you have like a week off or something? When did you actually start?
I want to say it kind of blurs a little bit. I want to say I started about a month and a half later. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you have to get everything set up and moved, and kind of take care of all of the stuff on the home front, and make sure that they have enough time at the shop to be able to do everything without you. Yeah.
So you had. What's interesting with your stories, you had a lot of people early on in your life that were very critical to your success.
Critical.
It's actually you're well loved.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, put it to you that way. Your dad, your grandfather, you had a couple of mentors at coin shops. You had Mr. Bonzer. So you reached out to them.
Yeah.
Okay. What was that phone call like? Guess you'll never believe what happened. Guess what happens?
Just like every other situation where something cool happens, it was nothing but elation.
Yeah. I must have been so proud.
Oh, absolutely. Dad and mom, it was kind of one of those things where it's like, man, you're moving to Southern California. That's so far away. And when are we going to, you're always going to have those types of conversations. Sure. But realizing that you're living your dream, it's a big deal. Yeah. When your parents know, when your mentors know that you're on the path that you want to be on. Right. And you're being noticed for your talents. You're being noticed for what you bring to the table. Sure. Obviously, it's a really cool feeling.
The professional recognition and responsibility that when you have something that's so important, so much money involved in getting it right, authenticating and grading a coin, it's serious business. It's a lot of money at stake.
Absolutely.
It's a fiduciary responsibility.
Of course it is.
And then they're like, you're 26 years old, and they've granted that to you. Yeah. That is such a gratifying feeling. Yeah, you're like, okay, you're really good at this, and we trust you with this. That's awesome. That's just at 26. Come on.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. It definitely was. So after that,
So then so you got your place, you got your apartment. You're like, hey, I'm in Southern California. I'm a PCGS grader.
Yep.
Then what? You got some routines down, and was it kind of naturally progressed great in the grading room? Like, what was it like?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the coolest things about the grading room, and I tell people this all the time, you're literally sitting next to some of the smartest, most talented numismatists in the world. You know, you have people that have been sitting in those seats, some of them since the foundation of PCGS. We have a couple of graders who have literally been there for 35 years. You know, and
they've seen it all.
They've seen everything. You cannot stump them. Yeah, they might look at something and go, you know, we're kind of between these two grade lines, but it's never a situation where they're just like, we're not going to make a decision on this.
Right.
You know, like we can't, there's nothing that's going to completely stump them to the point where they're just like, no, absolutely not.
Right. Yeah, they're paid to make a call.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So so at first, what was it like? I mean, you're working on some great numismatists. You're probably working longer hours. Did you get it? Did you like, okay, because you're in a dark room.
Yes.
Okay. You're grading coins all day. It was like better than expected, or did you have some ups and downs? Every job has its ups and
Every
downs.
job has its ups and downs.
Yeah. So there's times like, wow, you know, it's kind of getting to me. I got to get some sunlight for a couple days.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's a different, you know, I was talking to JD about this. It's a very different type of job, because not only do you have a lot of responsibility to like make the right call, but you're really in a dark room looking at small objects, laser focused with your eyes for 8-10 hours a day.
Yeah.
And no sunlight, no nothing. So it's just like, how do you like loosen up? Did you learn how to like relax a little bit?
You have to.
Yeah, you have to. You have to take some breaks a lot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations too where, you know, the typical posture of grading, you have a lamp right in front of you, you have, you know, your loops and everything like that, and you tend to slouch.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of get your shoulders into it, and you don't realize after, you know, several hours, if you're in that position, that when you start coming back to it, it's like, you start to get a little stiff in the back and the shoulders, and
that's
especially
not healthy. Yeah,
it's not healthy.
Yeah.
You start getting used to it. You know, it's one of those things where your body starts to compensate a little bit. But I remember vividly my first like 2 or 3 weeks going home, and it's just like, oh my gosh, I've got to lay out on a hard floor and just get my spine to stretch out, do whatever. The wonderful thing about being a grader is there's nobody there to babysit you. You know, it's not one of those situations, you know, obviously we want them sitting down and grading, but if it's best for you to take a break and get up and go take a walk, go take a walk.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and especially like you were saying, it's so laser focused. There's very little manual labor, you know, unless you're talking fingertips and rolling coins. There's very little manual labor involved. You know, it's just keystrokes and looking at a coin, taking a coin out of a flip. But it does fry your brain sometimes. You know, because there's a difference between grabbing a coin. You hand me a coin and you say, do you agree with the grade? I look at the coin and I see that the label says 65. So I look at it and I go, yeah, I'm okay with mid-state 65 on this. Or, you know, I think this could be a little bit better, or no, I think this is a little bit overgraded. It's much different when you're handed a raw coin and said, grade this.
You have to think.
You have to
really think and make a decision.
Yeah, it's
much more stressful. Not
super
stressful,
easy to
but more brain
criticize.
power.
Yeah, exactly. Super easy to criticize and, you know, kind of see if you agree or disagree versus formulate. When you're formulating 800 grades per day, it can get a little bit tiresome.
So you're grading about 800 coins a day.
My average was usually anywhere between 700 and 900, depending on the day. There are some days where, you know, you get some coins that you have to spend more time on. It takes a lot longer to grade a $17.99 bus dollar in VF than it does a mid-state Morgan dollar, you know, an 81S in 64. You know, a 64, you flash it, it flashes up a 64. You know, you get to the point, and it's really cool. If you do it for a long time, there are instances where you formulate a grade before your brain tells you what the grade is. Like, you don't even have to think 64, your fingers just go to 64. But when you've got that $17.99 bus dollar in VF, you're looking for tooling. You're looking for cleaning. How original are the surfaces? Do I need to net it for anything? How does this stand up against all of the others that we've graded in the past? And you're formulating that. It takes a little bit more time. So on those days where you get a lot of those types of submissions, it slows you down, you know, because you need to take more time with it. But if you've got, really easy to grade coins, yeah, you can whip
Right.
through, 800-900 coins without, really stressing out too much.
Yeah, okay.
So it definitely was a day-to-day thing.
Yeah.
But I think I think in those days, if you were to look at my numbers, I probably averaged right around 750 to 800 coins a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
it
lot.
was.
Okay, so a little bit of a timeout.